The RTE Rugby Podcast, sponsored by Canterbury. See the new Irish men and women's rugby jerseys at canterbury.com.
Can we talk about the importance of this block that's upcoming? I know you had there was a game last weekend, but the importance of a fixture against a team like Munster and then back-to-back Europe before you head over to South Africa, like it's a significant part of the season, isn't it? Yeah,
it's huge. Like you said, significance is probably a very, very good word to use. Where, I know we are at the top of the table, but only just, and we've got some pretty tough fixtures coming up, and a lot of them are away from home. So every point leading into finals footy counts. Munster away, obviously. I mean, it doesn't matter which team travels out there. It's going to be tough, So. We're looking forward to the challenge, and we know that there's a lot of internationals to potentially come back in both teams, and it's all part of the spectacle, isn't it?
It's a good old rivalry, isn't it? Both teams seem to bring out the best of each other for some reason.
Yeah, both teams want to knock the heads off each other as well. We've been best friends for the last 10 weeks, and as soon as you put on a different coloured jumper, all of that's left at the door and the rivalry begins. So, mate, we're looking forward to the challenge, and 7 o'clock on Saturday night, will be a couple of beers after, but for that 80 minutes, like I said, we probably want to knock each other's heads off.
And can I just ask you one final question? It's about Ireland, if you don't mind, for a second. Given the growth of the group in the last number of weeks in terms of the Six Nations, how important would that tour to New Zealand be, given the fact, there's talk of 3 test games plus 2 midweek matches, in terms of trying to bring you on another few steps?
Yeah, mate, it's going to be a tough. It's going to be a tough old tour now, isn't it? Playing against the best team in the world in their own backyard isn't exactly something to be taken lightly. Five test matches also, mate. Backs against the wall stuff, but look, we're definitely looking forward to the challenge. We've come leaps and bounds, and we've, I guess, proved to ourselves that we can play a brand of rugby which is one, exciting, and two, we can win doing. So, mate, we're looking forward to the tour, but there's a lot of rugby from between here and there, and as long as the boys can stay fit and healthy, I don't see why we can't achieve something phenomenal down in New Zealand.
Cheers, mate. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, you too.
Hi James, how are things?
Howdy, how's it going?
Not too bad now, not too bad. Can you tell us, James, the difference between where you feel your game is right now as opposed to 12 months ago after the Six Nations?
I've probably a lot to do with my attention to detail individually. I was always, as a professional, you are quite hard on yourself, but at international level, things are multiplied. Mistakes are, can become huge, and in games at home and away in front of fans, you really need to cut those mistakes out. And individually, I feel I've put my hand up and shown a fair amount of growth in that area. And look, I'm happy with how my rugby's going and my contribution to the team, whether that's ball in hand or defensively, my communication, how I make people feel around me. I'm absolutely stoked with how I'm playing footy at the moment.
And would it have done a lot for your confidence, the fact that, having missed out on the first couple of games, Andy would have had the face to put you straight back into the team, and you weren't kind of queuing back up for your position all over again? I've got a huge amount of respect for Andy and the role that he has, the difficulty in terms of selection. But, I'd done some amount of graft during my time being injured, making sure my body was right. But not only that, it's making sure when I did get back on the pitch, I wasn't missing a beat. I understood exactly what was expected of me, and I was making sure I executed those skills under pressure and when was asked of me. And, I played 20-25 minutes off the bench against Ospreys, and I knew exactly what I had to do to put my hand up, and I felt like I did that, which gave confidence to obviously the coaching team that I was ready, and the opportunity came and I made sure I took it.
And then just lastly for me, coming back to this weekend's game at Thomond Park, how much are you looking forward to the fact that, you know, there's going to be a decent crowd there as well, because you would have played 5 or 6 times over the course of the last 18 months behind closed doors, and, you know, a Munster Leinster game needs a big crowd there.
Yeah, I mean, it adds to it, doesn't it? Man, like, arguably the biggest rivalry in rugby, isn't it, in terms of club rugby? That Leinster Munster game, and man, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, for 80 minutes you hate each other, the crowd included, but you know, afterwards they'll stand there and clap you off, win or lose. But you know, that's all part of it, and you know, I hope we can put in a performance we're proud of come Saturday.
The RTE Rugby Podcast, sponsored by Canterbury. See the new Irish men and women's rugby jerseys at canterbury.com.
How are you? It's Michael Corcoran here. I hope you're well.
Oh, well, yeah.
I'm good. Well, I'm fine. How are you, and where are you injury-wise? Or I see, it looks at the latest update there, so no update on Jordan Larmour. So how are you fixed, or where are you at this stage?
Yeah, good. Started back running there last week, and then I was sprinting a bit yesterday, so yeah, my hip flex is feeling really good. So I'm still a bit away, a few more weeks I'd say, but it's feeling really good, so hopefully just keep kicking on with the rehab now.
Can I ask you just about the importance of, I know that you're not going to be involved because of the injury scenario, but just the importance of Leinster and being involved in the kind of concluding stages of the season. We're in the final furlong, there's a bit to go yet in the United Rugby Championship and Europe. I mean, specifically the United Rugby Championship, how competitive have you found that with the introduction of the South African teams?
Yeah, it's been really good. I think, you know, looking at their performances, they've been really, really good. You know, a lot of big men on their team, and we have a trip coming up in a few weeks going down there, and I went down there my first season, I think, and we won a game, lost a game, so I know how tough it is, a place to go. But that tour would be really cool to get on, so that's kind of what I'm aiming for at the moment. But yeah, you know, a lot of big men on their team, they're physical, they have a lot of quick backs, so I think they're playing really well at the moment. I'd really like to go on that tour as well.
And just a final question in relation to Ireland, and I mean, obviously you were looking on over the period of the Six Nations Championship, unfortunately from your point of view, but with that tour coming up to New Zealand, how much of an added incentive is it that, you know, there are going to be 5 games, it's going to be quite competitive, only just about 12 months out from a Rugby World Cup?
Yeah, definitely, that'd be a really cool tour to go on. You know, speaking to a few of the lads, they have been telling us how hard it is a place to go and win. So, you know, it's kind of in the back of my head at the moment. Like, right now I'm trying to focus on getting back playing, you know, getting my rehab under my belt, and then getting back playing for Leinster and playing well. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of at the moment. But of course that tour's in the back of the head, and you know, I'd love to go on it, so I'm going to do everything I can to try and make that happen.
Good man. Thanks, Jordan. It's good to see you.
Cheers, you too.
Hi Jordan, Neil here.
Hiya.
To follow up on what you were saying there about obviously like concentrate on your rehab and getting yourself sorted over the next few weeks, do you have to park what other wingers are doing around the country or what other wingers are doing at Leinster? If you see someone playing particularly well on a given week, are you thinking, geez, I need to step things up? Or as you get more experience in your career, are you better at just kind of concentrating on yourself and not worrying about what others are doing?
Yeah, I think it can be hard to do, because, you know, you see what everyone else is doing, and, you know, you're just sitting on the sideline being like, oh, I wish I could be out there doing that. So yeah, that can be tough, but I think it is important just to not overthink about it too much, and, you know, focus on what you're trying to do. You know, in the process, you need to stick to the process that's going to get you back to your playing. So whether that's my rehab, just trying to stay focused on that, and then, you know, picking up a few extra skills when I can, you know, just to keep it sharp. And then when you get back playing, you know, you got to take those opportunities. You know, because you see what other people are doing, and that might give you a bit of a kick up the arse for when you get back playing, and you know, you want to show yourself, oh, you know, I can do that too. So there's probably a little bit that goes into it, yeah.
And then the other one for me, how did you feel you were playing prior to picking up the injury? Did you feel you were in a good place? Were you putting in good performances?
Yeah, I felt like I'd found a bit of form and I was playing well. You know, I probably had a few bad performances at the start of the season, and then kind of was building into it, and I think I was playing better. So yeah, it's kind of just an annoying time to pick up an injury, but that's the way it goes. It is what it is. All I can do is just try to get back playing as quick as possible.
The RTE Rugby Podcast, sponsored by Canterbury. See the new Irish men and women's rugby jerseys at canterbury.com.